So I had an email and a trader asking me that's in the Algo IQ program, fairly new trader to the program. I can tell they're junior in experience, which is just fine. A lot of times that means then you don't have about 52 bad habits. So they're saying, hey, I love the Algo IQ indicator. I'm playing with the automated strategy, already going after a $300 a day daily profit objective. It's working. I'll build up from there. I understand what the AIQ bands are, which I'm running on this chart, why you use them the way you do. I understand the different ways I can use those bands, and I understand the AIQ1 indicator that creates the mom signals. What I don't understand is, what do I need the SuperBands for? And I said, well, here's how I use the SuperBands. I have my SuperBands optimized so that only 7% of all price action is outside of the bands. So if I'm going back 30 days, every little excursion outside of the bands, each candlestick that's outside of the bands is counted as a percentage in ratio to all the candlesticks within the main bands. And in the settings of the super bands, we can set the percentage. We can go in there. There's a little optimization feature that says, hey, I want my bands from this point going back to optimize it so 3% of candles are outside of the bands over the last 20 days, 30 days, or 5%, or 10, or 7. To me, the sweet spot is right between 5 and 7 for what I'm going to show you, and I'm going to let you in on a little tip. So when it comes to running the mom strat or the reversal strategy, or I should say the reversal indicator and signals, we have reversal signals or we have mom or momentum burst signals. So the squares are momentum burst signals. So I can go in the automation, I can go to the strategy, I can open up the AIQ1 folder, I can set up the mom strat, add it. I'll go in, I'll set it up for one of my templates. So I'll go to load, I'll load up one of my templates. Voila, I'm all ready to go. I got my quantity, my stop, my target, my break-even threshold, time of day window when I'm willing to take trades that I can toggle on or off, my daily profit objective or loss if I want to put in that. I can turn on the trail stop mechanism or not. I do have a break-even threshold set in place. But now what I can do is if I see the market above the main bands, this is what I can do. And I'll elaborate on this in just a moment. I can enable the strategy, and let's just say it's going outside of the bands, and it's about, roughly just after the US markets open. So I'll make sure that, I've set it to take trades at 8:32 US Central Time or later up to 1:30 in the afternoon. So, or if I just see this outside the bands and it's the middle of the night, I can turn off my time window limitation, which means it can take trades anytime the strategy's on. But for now, I'll leave it on. But in other words, you have full flexibility. So I'll hit OK. I've enabled the strategy. And now the strategy is going to load. We'll let it load. It's calculating. And voila, the strategy is on. Here's what I can do with the features. If I see the market trading outside the upper bands, like excursions outside the upper bands, let's take a look at a few recently. Excursion outside the upper bands. If I'm above the upper bands, what can I do? I can go in and put short mode only, meaning the automated strategy will only put me in short trades. This is LNS, that means long and short. If I see the price outside the lower bands, here, here, or touching the bands, outside the bands, I can put it in long mode only until I get the reaction and get some mean reversion back inside the bands. So I can say, okay, long mode only, I'm below the lower main bands on optimized settings, whether it's here, here. And remember, these bands do not recalculate and do not repaint on live feed or when running in replay feed. So as long as I have that bad boy running on live feed and I'm getting an excursion outside the bands, my automated strategy, or I might want to just trade the setups manually. I turn on the audible tone. I hear the audible tone of a mom signal short. I can go in and bracket trade the setup with my stop targets already preset in NinjaTrader 8 ATM or maybe some third-party tool. Or just trade it manually and work your trade however you trade. So in the automated strategy and why I use the SuperBands, when I see those trade opportunities, I do exceptionally well trading. There's a lot of reactivity of price when it gets outside the bands, when you have it optimized the way I mentioned in that 5 to 7% window. You could go, 3 to 5%. You can do whatever you want, meaning, boy, when it's outside of the bands, it's really rare. And at that point, there's usually a really strong mean reversion reaction. And it's not like I need a 200-point move. I catch a 70, 60, 70, 80-point move. That's a nice trade as a single move directional trade with the automation. And we allow you to trade long mode or short only mode in the automated strategy settings. So I'll turn that off for now because I don't need to have the automation on. It's, Sunday evening US session. We also have a flatten button, on-off button to turn the strategy off. But let's just show you how robust this is because these charts have been on for a long time. I pretty much leave these on all the time. And I'm going to give you a little clue in here too of recent trades because these squares right here on this chart are set to the exact same settings on this left-hand chart as to what I just showed you on the right-hand chart. They're synced up. Same time frame, same settings. So right here, we had an excursion outside the lower bands. Right here. Let me turn on my drawing tool real quick. Okay, so let's slide this down. So here I had the automated strategy on, long only. I was outside the bands. I got a signal. We got some lift and rollover. Okay, I'm done with that trade. We got a counter signal. Didn't really make much. I see it's holding near the bands. Hey, leave long mode on. Get another long. And then all day long it grinded up. Okay, I get to the other side of the bands. Got no signal into the end of the trade day. I'm coming through the end part of the EU session, or I should say the portion where the EU session is kind of winding down and we're getting to the US cash session open. Okay, now I turn my strategy on short only mode. Catch a short. At no point pre-market or through the US Open was there any challenge to that, and down we go. Later on, I get a long signal. It lifts, and then I get a short signal. I blip out. Hey, no harm, no foul. I see no reason to attempt any other trades. That opportunity came and went. Later on, I get an excursion outside the lower bands. Turn on long only mode. Beautiful, one and done trade. And that was during US cash session hours. Had a short trade that just touched it. I won't count it because we didn't have a full excursion through. But I mean, you could have traded it. So now that day I did mention it and I shot a video. I saw M pattern that day. I turned on the automated strategy. No, wait, I traded that one manually. I was already up on the day, and that was a trade in the overnight session that I worked manually with a little bit of size and end up having a pretty significant move. Okay, then let's talk about this whopper down here. Way outside of the bands, big linear price movement. Turn on long only mode, like, there's got to be a reaction here. Sure enough, long, nice little move, roll over, done. Quick scalp. Come back outside the bands again, have the long only on, and there you go. And these were trades during the US cash session hours, US Central Time. So that'd be a 2 and done day. So that's why I love the SuperBands. The SuperBands are a seventh evolution. This is the seventh evolution of taking adaptive price bands that do not recalculate or repaint, putting two of them together, and with this one here, it's all new math in how the bands calculate and read price, and a whole new programming method. So these are like completely different than any ones I built prior in the way that they operate. They operate totally different. So it's like if you see a F-150 Tremor pickup and you see another pickup next to it that looks like it, but it's totally different. So, okay, this is the Ram Rebel with the Hemi again. You know, it's just, yeah, they're both pickup trucks. Yeah, they kind of look the same. They got four doors, they got a bed, but they're both very, very different. One's got a 3.5 twin turbo. The other one's got a 5.7 liter Hemi. You know, it's just, yeah, they're the same. They're both pickup trucks. Yeah, they're the same amount of doors. But this one is a significant jump in capability over any bands I ever built. And the reason is I use these exclusively for institutional FX trading. That is my primary indicator. And we have had an 18% increase in turning point out of bands precision than what we had with any prior version 1 through 6. So the evolution from the last version 6 to now was such a prominent jump that I will never go back and tinker around with the bands again. They're as good as I can get them. So them babies are beautiful. And again, opportunities. Long only, boom. Short only, boom. There we'll call it an excursion, no excursion. Now we're getting into a mode where tonight I might turn on the short only mode and work trade setups. Now, I don't like to trade Asian session. I like during the EU session hours, US pre-market or US cash session hours when we're above the bands, because the volume in Asian session is definitely different than what it is on the MNQ, or in this case, the NQ, during the EU session hours. The participation picks up during the EU session hours. But again, the SuperBands are a brilliant way of showing you additional trade opportunity, high probability zones to combine the power of all the Algo IQ tools, the AIQ tool, to find high probability trade opportunity locations to go in and know when to have your automation running and in what mode. Most of the time we just run it long short. And then to kind of wrap up, I'm going to show you some of the training we have. So in our unique private community platform, we don't use Discord. Discord's kind of a junk fest because it's just not a very secure platform. I use a secure, privacy protected, and encrypted platform for our private Algo IQ community. We have a very robust main room, sharing all kinds of, what's going on, what's working for people, and so on. We have trade examples room where traders are sharing what they're trading there. I've noticed some guys are really killing it in gold lately, and just all kinds of sharing going on there. Really good prop firm section. A lot of some of our guys work with some of these firms and put out timely info and so on. So we have a lot of good information. But when you join the program, I right away set you up with community access where you have access to our downloads room. And right away, we have a very formal and structured start here. So when you come in, you right away know what to do, how to set up your charts, what are the exact settings, how to set up your left-hand chart, your right-hand chart. And then we have templates and we have quick start chart setup guides. And I get into price patterns, 4-hour chart levels, and so on. And then we also have a automated trading start here section that's very laid out and very simple to follow. So you can, if you've never traded before, you can get in right away, get fired up, and get going on your automated trading very quick. Gridalgo.com for more details, and boy, do we have some huge major announcements ahead.